Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and it's time for a controversial view. Now, Joe and I, even though we're still doing controversial views of movies, thought we'd throw a television series in every now and then. Now, with that being said, our very first series is Seventh Heaven, which really shouldn't be a big surprise, considering the history of the series. Now, Joe and I concentrated specifically on two episodes, which is the pilot episode, which is Anything You Want, and episode 10, which is Last Call for Aunt Julie. Now, my history with this series is I used to watch this with my daughter all the time. She was younger, of course. This was in the early 2000s when they were doing reruns, and it was something I thought was healthy, not only for her to watch, but I started to get into the show, into the characters, and it was something that I enjoyed watching as well. And I'm not kidding, this is what the quotes say: the best family show on television. It goes straight for the heart. For viewers clamoring for wholesome, entertaining television. And here's one of the best ones: wholesome, high quality family entertainment. Yeah. Um, and here's the thing. I actually really enjoyed this show, and so did my daughter. So when Joe brought this to my attention, to start doing these, of course, I've had the series for a while. I thought, okay, well, we have an obvious controversy right now, which is Stephen Collins, who plays a minister and the father of this family in Seventh Heaven. Now, of course, he was accused of sexual abuse, and if you guys want to know more about that, I definitely suggest you look up the case. It's rather interesting. I found out a few things that I didn't know, and it seems like ever since then, this series has had a black cloud over top of it, much like, of course, the Cosby Show, which we may or may not be getting into, with Bill Cosby and the accusations that followed him around. But that's just the obvious controversy. When Joe and I watched these two specific episodes, I was kind of blown away at the content on this show. And it just goes to show television is so PC now. I mean, I thought it had gone in the other direction, since you can say certain curse words on television that you really couldn't do before, especially on cable. That's not actually the case. These shows are not only family entertainment, but they're also very, very edgy in their content. For example, let's start with Anything You Want, the pilot. This show is chock full of content. I'll just call it content that I didn't necessarily think was appropriate. And this is the same guy that watched this back with my daughter years and years ago and thought it was fine. Thought it was a good example of a family oriented television show. Now, in this episode, Anything You Want, Mary, who is the oldest daughter, played by Jessica Biel, she she wants to experience her first kiss. She's 14, and she's, as she puts it, waited 14 years to be able to kiss somebody. She wants to know how to do it and do it right. So, of course, she wants her older brother, played by Barry Watson, to teach her how to kiss. And I remember when Joe first suggested this, I was like, what the heck? Well, that's bad enough. And they got to the point where they almost did, but in the original filming, they actually did kiss. But they ended up cutting that out. I guess they figured it went too far. But to me, the whole point of it goes too far. But that's not all. The father and mother who have all these kids are trying to have sex throughout the entire show, but are getting cock blocked by their kids. Another thing that just kind of blew me away. I was just like, wow, this is pretty heavy. Not only that, but the middle daughter Lucy is freaking out because she hasn't gotten her period like her other friends. Now, granted, this is stuff that goes on in everyday life, but this is supposed to be a wholesome family show. So, Lucy is standing on her head because Mary told her it'll bring her to womanhood, and she's walking around and running with her legs spread wide open, hoping to jar something loose. I'm actually not kidding. This is like the content of this show. And it all kind of wraps up with the um, the mother of the family. Her mother and father come to visit with them and the kids, and the mother said that she's dying of leukemia and she's not going to get treatment. So basically, she's going to borrow time. All that is wholesome family entertainment. But it gets better. In the other episode we checked out, which is Last Call for Aunt Julie, which is episode 10, Stephen Collins' character, the minister, gets a visit from his sister when she comes over once a year for vacation. He finds out that she is a raging alcoholic and has not only lost her job and her boyfriend, but basically lost most of her friends as well. Now, of course, this is stuff we deal with in everyday life, but she brings the kids presents like she brings Ruthie a baby doll. She brings a Simon a Batman sweater, and since they have the dog Happy, they bring Happy a Robin sweater. Since Happy is basically Simon's dog. So Simon's running around the house in his Batman sweater and playing, and she goes into the liquor cabinet by turning a key. You have to use a key to get into the liquor cabinet. And Simon steals it and he says, "Aha, I foiled your plan," playing around. So Aunt Julie starts to tickle him to try to get the key back from him. When he doesn't give the key back, she basically grabs him by the throat and slams him against the couch. I'm not kidding. This is the type of stuff that is in this episode. From there, you have Aunt Julie basically acting out throughout the rest of the episode when her brother is trying to help her detox. It's crazy. Wholesome family entertainment. I'll say it one more time. So this is pretty great. Joe also told me, because a lot of these are so old and I watched them so long ago that I don't really remember them that well. I remember parts of it. So when I'm watching it, everything's coming back. He also told me about an episode in the third season, I believe, where they get a French foreign exchange student, and Ruthie is calling him a French pig, and she wants him to get out of the house. That no one likes him. He's a French pig. I mean, you can't make this kind of stuff up. Is it me, or has television gotten so PC that sometimes we watch old television shows and are completely shocked by the content and what they were able to get away with, or what was normal at the time? We definitely want to hear from you. What do you guys think? As we always say, or as Joe always says, we watch them so you don't have to. I think this is kind of an interesting way of maybe spicing up controversial view a little bit. So we're going to be doing this every once in a while. And make sure you check out Joe's controversial view for Seventh Heaven. Remember, guys, physical media matters. And until next time, peace.